Peace, y'all. I'm ICC, and as you can see, we have the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. We're going to do a quick unboxing, and we're going to break these down and do a quick comparison to the actual Super Nintendo. I mainly want to look inside the controllers, but we'll look inside the consoles as well. So here we go. Let's unbox it. Take a look at the front and the back. Looks good. Nice, good condition box, that's for sure. So let's open it. It's in there pretty good. But I got it. And now, Super Nintendo Classic. It's packaged just like the regular one was, the NES Classic. You have your power adapter, just a 5 volt, 1.5 amp. So I'm assuming it goes to the micro USB just like the Nintendo Classic did. So yeah, there we go. Micro USB, HDMI, power and reset. The eject button feels like it moves, but it doesn't actually move. So the controllers go somewhere here on the front. Okay, there you go. Same as the NES Classic controllers. Use that Wii plug. I do like that. How does that go back on there? So put the top in first and then the bottom. Something like that. Looks okay now. Nice and small. I like the size. Very small. Super NES control deck. So that's kind of cool. I like that. Okay, other stuff that are in the box. We have the USB power cable. It's just a micro USB. So that goes over here with the power adapter. We have the controllers. Let's break into those. Rip all this plastic stuff off. The controller looks very good. It looks exactly like a regular Super Nintendo. I know some of the the earlier Super Nintendo models actually have it embedded into the plastic, while the later ones had it painted. This one here looks like they just took after the paint job, which is fine. So like that. Second controller and the HDMI cable. Okay, so first I just want to look at the consoles real quick. I mean, obvious size difference is beyond obvious. I mean, that thing's huge, this thing's tiny. But I mean, everything's designed pretty well. It's replicated pretty well. This one's yellowing a little bit. Hopefully this one does not yellow. I'll be a little bit angry, a little bit disappointed if these yellow like these old Super Nintendos do. But let's open these up. Let's take a look. Okay, the moment of truth. Okay, very nice. There we go. The SNES Classic. Very small. I like it. A couple of the controls, I like how you could pop new ones on if these break. Perhaps even replace those with maybe USB ports in the future or something. Maybe someone come up with something. I like it. Got the heatsink. Probably some flash membrane circuits in there, all under there. But I do like the fact that everything is twice as small, weighs a fraction. The setup's a little bit the same. I mean, obviously the controller ports, how they're set up is the same, but the layout is kind of the same. The springs, how it's loaded, that's the same kind of. I'll take a look at the Super Nintendo one now. This one we don't have to spend too long on. It's an old one, been opened a lot. So, this is a newer model. You can see the sound chip is on the board. The older models has a big old sound chip right here that plugs in. But compare that to this, and that's a world of difference. Look at all those pieces in that Super Nintendo compared to this. Everything is so small and miniature compared to that right there. A lot of these pieces, you know, this all comes out, this all comes out, spring comes out, and that's not even like bolted, that just comes out. So, not screwed in, not bolted in. This, everything's pretty sturdy in here. Actually, I'm gonna take off this heat sink real quick. Let's see what's under there. So now that we got the board off, we can take a look a little bit under there and see all the chips. And made in China, R16. I don't really know what all the chips are, but you know, one would be flash memory, one would be sound, video processing and everything, so not too bad. Very compact and very small compared to the other one. The Super Nintendo has this controller board. This board just for your controllers is big as this whole thing almost. Look at that. So yeah, there's the insides of the console. So now let's take a look at the controllers. So we have the two controllers. You can see this one is embedded, this one is painted. This one's a little bit yellowish, this one's nice and new. But yeah, I grabbed one that was embedded just to show you the difference. Later on, they went to these. These were the earlier models though. So there's your comparison of the new versus the old. Now, let's break into them. Okay, so before we open them up, I want to take a look at the back real quick. I like how this has the Super Nintendo logo on it. The new one doesn't have the logo, but it does have the Nintendo logo. The old one has the Nintendo logo and the Super Nintendo logo, so that's kind of cool. Both of them are still made in China. This is model number SNES 102, model number CLV 202. So otherwise, I mean, the size is the same, quality looks the same, but now let's open them up. See what these bad boys are made of. So, instant differences. This one has a colored board. You can see it looks like they mapped it out. The way the L and R looks exactly the same. You got the flat board with the rubber pieces there, flat board and rubber pieces here. I mean, this looks exactly the same. This has 5 cables while this one only has 4. So you can't just swap the boards. But let's take a look at the actual circuits. Nice and new. Small circuits, everything's nice and small. On this you can see everything's a little bit bigger. Technology back then had bigger chips. Well, technology now, bunch of fine chips, bunch of small chips. Yeah, not too bad though, actually. The layout is really close to the same. You can even see down to the shape of the board. The shape of the board is very close. You might be able to swap the boards if you really wanted to. There'd be no reason to, but that's kind of cool. I like how they kept it so close. Even the L and R look good. So yeah, not bad. I'm pleased with my Super Nintendo Classic. Gonna be gaming on that later, but for now, I'd have to give it a thumbs up. So for now, I am ICC. Thanks for watching, y'all, and peace.